Hello everyone, Bashar here. So, the Paladin is here. And for those of you that have played Diablo 2 like I did, it's very nostalgic. In Diablo 3, we had the Crusader, but, while they were similar, it was not the Paladin. There is a thing that clicks when you have fanaticism on and such. So, yeah. So you can have access to the Paladin by pre-ordering the Vessel of Hatred, the expansion. That's the upcoming expansion that is going to arrive with the next season. So I think that season 12 will be with the second expansion. And this is the first time I think that we have a second expansion to a Diablo game. In Diablo 1, we had Hellfire, I believe. Very few people probably have played that. In Diablo 2, which is the world famous, we had Lord of Destruction. And in Diablo 3, it was the Reaper of Souls, I believe. Yeah, I think that was it. And in here, we had the Vessel of Hatred, and now we are having the new one, Lord of what? I don't even recall. Anyway, so I played the Paladin, and if you have played Paladin in Diablo 2, Zealots were a popular build. I loved it. So, and I didn't even take a look at the tier. And I started playing the character with the Zeal build. I would say it's probably D or F tier in the end game. It's pretty bad, but it does make an enjoyable experience all the way until you arrive at the end game. So I have been busy these last few days, so I couldn't do any videos for you. But when I reached Torment 4 with this character, I was on Paragon, maybe 150s, and my gear was masterwork to like level 4 or something. So I was much weaker, and of course the build didn't really hold up. But yeah, so I would say in this form we are able to do like pit 80s, maybe a little bit higher, 85. There is a 200 weapon version of this. There is a sword called the Red Sermon, which would increase our damage output drastically, I would say. Red. That's the one. Yeah. Zeal deals double damage, and obviously some damage to some skills to zealot skills. So the problem with this build is, guys, the damage doesn't go really up to the point where it becomes relevant in pits of rank like 100 or so. So the only way to work around that is, I would say getting more zeal ranks, but still then at the end I don't think it's gonna, add up, right? And as you can see, this is a pretty budget build. I just have ancestral items on all of my slots. This is ancestral as well. I just rolled away from it. It was a bad roll. No mythics or even uniques, right? So this is just a starter build that I was too stubborn to let go. So, I'm going to spec into something else, and take a look at this. I don't even have an armor build, right? I'm just going to save this now, and I'm going to retire this. But I just couldn't find the time. So what does this build do? It just kind of zeals. Everything else just synergizes with it. So let me go over it quickly. We just get the Holy Bolt as a resource generation, but you kind of never use this, right? This is not really required because we will be spamming rally. You'll see we have zeal ranks as much as we can, so you should be getting zeal ranks as best you could. Now I'm just going to skim over it. We have the consecration. Sorry, did I skip anything? Yeah, I did skip some stuff, right? We have the fanaticism aura, lovely, right? We also have the defiance aura. These are pretty good. When you are first starting, rally will cost us health. I'm going to show you, and the health cost can be somewhat trying. I would suggest starting with like Holy Light aura up until maybe you are done with the leveling, or like level 40s and 50s, then switch to fanaticism. So start off with defiance and Holy Light, and then yeah, so this upgrade, and then switch to fanaticism. We have rally. This is our bread and butter, kind of, right? Our bread and butter is zeal, but that's how we will be able to do it. So yeah, so this upgrade is the thing that gonna do it for us. Gives us movement speed and generates faith. And with this upgrade, we can, constantly do it, right? So we spam it and it's gonna give us resource. So that is our main resource generation. And you kind of don't even need this, right? I mean, I don't recall when I last cast Holy Bolt. We go on, we grab the Consecration. Consecration helps us weaken enemies. So does Fanaticism. Weaken reduces the damage they deal, but also helps us deal more damage. We have some synergies with it. And we don't have any ultimates. And we have some of these passives, and we have Path of the Penitent, which gives us more resource cost, but then at the end, it does make them cheaper when you fully stack it. 60% resource cost reduction after increasing it 100%. So it does make the resource cost cheaper. For Paragon, we have Chip, Spirit, Undaunted, Favorous, and Outmatch. As you can see, I didn't, go very hard at it. I grabbed all of the Paragon points from the journey, so I think at this point I should have 252 points spent. Let's take a look. Yeah, I should have all of the Paragon points here. By the way, this sadly does take quite a bit of work, but yeah, I think it's all done. Yeah, it's all done. I mean, at least the Paragon points thingies are done. So what are we wearing? We have the Hail Salve. This is pretty good. We have a lot of healing going on, and healing gives us Fortify and gives us increased armor, and our armor is going to be converted into life, right? I didn't go over the boards here. The boards are, the castle. This is insane. Take a look at the damage output, guys. I have seen like 50-60% damage up, but I have never seen 730% multiplicative damage up. This is of course insane. That's why we stack armor over resistances. I mean, we don't want to keep our resistances low for the purposes of toughness, but yeah, it does deal a lot of damage. We have Fervent here, increase critical strike damage and increase critical hit chance, and we will have 4 stacks of Fervor during the combat, so 32% increased crit chance from there. And the game does not take this into account, so you should be aiming for 68% crit chance if there are no other crit chance. Your Zealot skills gain 15% increased attack speed, and 65% of my attack speed is getting added to damage, so that does add a lot of damage. And finally, we have Relentless while moving and 2 seconds after, increased damage and cooldown reduction. So that means, do not stick in one place too long, at least, dodge or something. For Reverse, I know I have some really very simple leveling options here. This one gives us resource. So, guys, when I don't want to spend life to rally, I just dodge, and that gives me 52 faith. And we have this one, Kirke, and we do 5 skills, and then we will summon some spirit wolves, right? Multiple. They do help. Not really very good, right? But it's okay. Yeah, so we have Hail Salve, and Fortify has been changed. Any amount of Fortify means that you are fortified now, right? And instead of doing some extremely complicated stuff that is really hard to comprehend, it now just as you can see, I have full Fortify now, and when I take damage, for example, when I cast Rally, it will slowly start draining, and Fortify gets drained, and I get healed. That's what it does. We want cooldown reduction so we can evoke our auras more frequently and do consecration more frequently. Strength life armor is the classic, and we have Hail Salve here. We have Apostle here. Each stack of Fervor gives us a bonus healing received, and that healing received translates to damage as well. This one is very bad, sadly. Yeah, I'm at fault here. So we don't want crit strike damage there. We want crit chance there. But I suppose it's okay-ish. Zealot damage. You can go for Zealot crit damage actually. At the end, I didn't transition this, right? Because, when you are not critting so often, you want zealot damage. But zealot crit damage obviously adds more damage than zealot damage. But, you have to be critting at all times. So in the end game, at this point, you can actually switch to that one. You definitely want Zeal there. And Revelator is the aspect. Indomitable, more armor, and impairment resistance. My bonus is mediocre, I would say. I have single resistance. Single resistances are not really that good, but I mean, it is what it is. So, yeah. Zeal size on the helmet and on the boots, which should add up to, 100%. Yeah. And mine does kind of exceed. So the size effects are always capped with 100%. You shouldn't, trying to go over 100%. Strength, life, armor, the classic. On the weapon, we have Zeal to deal double damage. And spending out on a skill, the Penitent. So yeah, this you should also take this crit chance into account, right? We gain 32% from that legendary Paragon node, 14% from here. So we already have like 46% added to our crit chance. So our crit chance should be aiming for around 50% or so. 1 life on hit is not bad. Strength life on it. That damage is obviously bad. Chance to deal Zeal to deal double damage on the shield and on the weapon is kind of required. We want this as close to 100% as we could. Right? We just put some crit damage emerald in there. On the shield, we want damage reduction, cooldown reduction, a crit chance. So let's take a look at my crit chance if I see if I have overdone it. Yeah, I mean I'm in a good place, right? This is a little bit low, right? It's about 10% lower than it should be. But if I had it on the glove, it would have been perfect, right? Because we get a 14% bonus from here and the 32% from the legendary node. And those are not taken into account, right? Because these are conditional stuff. They are not taken into account, but during a fight, they are active at all times. So you have to kind of sadly manually do that. Zealot damage, this should again be Zealot crit damage. This ring is really bad, by the way. Resistance to all elements, cold resistance, we do not want those. Yeah. So this gives us the 4th fervor, right? Zealot's Covenant. Utmost Glory, while healthy. I mean, we should be healthy at all times, so that gives us more damage. Cooldown reduction and resistance to elements. These rings are really, really bad when I look at them. Yeah, sadly. Jacques Fervor is the amulet one. So, the aspect that we put on the amulet is amplified by 50%. So, the most important one should be on the amulet, which is Jacques Fervor. The crit damage is pretty important because we will be critting at all times. The movement speed is not really very good. Cooldown reduction and movement speed are cooldown reduction and crit chance are fine. The life is not really very good. So these are by no means very good gear. But I didn't invest too much to upgrade these, right? I have a lot of ancestral in my stash because I realized as soon as I realized this is like a D tier build at best, I realized I shouldn't invest in it anymore. Just switch. And then I just didn't have the time for the videos and the playing. So whatever small play time I could get, I invested it in completing the build that I'm going to switch to. The best build right now seems to be the Spear of the Heavens. People have cleared upwards of pit 130 with it. So yeah, and as you can see, there is no sanctification even in these items. I just masterworked them to the max, never rerolled them. So yeah, but this is fun for leveling, and let me also show you how they handle, the Torment 4 bosses. Let's go, and Dariel has a Whisper as well. The one thing that's been changed in this season is, guys, bosses actually give XP. That's a huge change. I don't know if you recall, but, they kind of were giving like 0 XP back then, right? Or almost 0. Now they give like, millions and millions, right? Even at this level, it should give me, close to something like a half level. So yeah, this will not be very smooth compared to what you've seen from the other builds, but it does do the job most of the time, you'll see. So I do the rally, I do my fanaticism, or I put the consecration on, and Is the game sound too loud? Yeah. So I think we will do some intermission, sadly. One intermission. Yeah. But if I did this properly, I would say this would go smoother, right? Yeah. So that's how it handles. So, you did probably see that I did the, what's the name? The season journey, right? And, I don't have even any build in the armory. So, this build handled, pit 75, right? But this is by no means optimized. I'm guessing if we switch to the two-handed weapon and do the build properly, maybe it will be able to force like up to, I don't know, 100 maybe. Let me show it to you in something like 70, I guess. Let's just put it somewhere. I was actually thinking about specking away at like 180 or so, but I never had the proper amount of time. So I had few hours in, and I just kept leveling and leveling. Yeah. And obviously, I know, guys, 70 isn't really a big deal, but this is not. This is just a leveling build, right? Level a little, yeah. Level to the max, and then switch away. By the way, please let me know if the in-game audio is a little bit too loud. My second monitor was actually out of order. I did buy a new one, and I'm getting the game sounds from there. I'm not very sure if it's too loud, or I actually think that the game sounds actually are not being relayed to you guys at all. Okay, OBS is a little bit weird. Shall I take a look at that for a second? Okay, let me clear this and let me take a look at that. Am I dying? Okay. As you can see, the fortify slow drains while healing me. Okay, let me just take a look at that. Okay, now it does. Now you guys can hear the game sound. I just realized that you guys couldn't. Okay, now I am afraid it is a little bit too loud for you guys. Let me just tone it down. Please, provide feedback about that. So I did tone down the in-game sounds a little bit at this point. Tell me if it's loud or, oh, I was almost dying. That was weird. Why am I dying? And the thing is, guys, the weird thing is, Blizzard suggests that we have about 35,000 toughness getting into Torment 4. I don't know if you've seen it, but this character has more than 300,000 in town. During the fight, it goes upwards of 600, and I'm having near-death experiences in a pit difficulty that is slightly harder than Torment 4. This is very weird. I mean, if I had 35,000 toughness in Torment 4, I kind of feel like I would be dying constantly. Yeah, I mean, I think 35,000 is a little bit generous, or too optimistic, I would say. Okay. I want to find one more Belial's Eye. So the trash clearing is not sadly very optimal, as you can see. So this is, as I said, not a very good build. But thing is, I think it can hold up on its own, you know, to finish the journey, or, you know, to get the proper stuff for another build, which is what I did. As I said, I did get the stuff that's required for Spear of the Heavens build. I think I shall be able to seamlessly transition into it, you know. Because, you know, I already had a build, and so when I was going to switch to another build, I just wanted to be able to switch to that build, you know, properly, without, you know, having to grind for other stuff, right? I mean, I obviously will have stuff to do, but, you know, I didn't want to switch when I was missing items. I at least, you know, have a, you know, Ancestral Herald of Sakharum, Ancestral, what was the weapons called? I forgot. You know, the Air of Perdition, the Shroud of Death. You know, I did gather those. 4 minutes. I think I screwed this run up pretty bad. You know, this is a little bit worse than, you know, what I'm used to. In the first run, when I finished the journey and did pit 75, I think it was about 5 minutes. I think it was 6 minutes with a death, maybe, something like that. And the main problem is not the survival, right? The survival is actually fine. The damage is not fine. Where is the exit? Yeah, this is pretty terrible. Hell, wasted so much time. Come on. Oh, there's the exit. Normally in this layout of the map, guys, you can get done on the first floor and have no need to moving to the second floor, but I guess I missed quite a few monsters here. Oh, God. What a showcase, eh? Yeah, so as I said, guys, this is... I mean, if you are feeling nostalgic to Diablo 2, that's what this build is for. It's by no means... Hey, no killing. Six minutes is very bad, though. We also spent a little time fixing this sound, I guess, but still, okay. Belial is a little bit nastier, so if you are trying to progress, I would suggest, you know, not triggering Belial. He also takes a bit of time to spawn. Oh. Okay. That's it. So, you know, it can do everything in the base game, right? You know, you can finish the journey, you can do Torment 4 bosses, but, you know, nothing is very good, you know. You might have to undergo the intermissions when you're doing the bosses and whatnot. In this form, I'm able to do, I would say, you know, around 80. After that, it's gonna become a little bit harder. You know, leveling up the glyphs, switching to the two-handed weapon, and, you know, improving my jewelry should carry me to, you know, 90s or so, probably. And, you know, 100 would be somewhat pushing it, I think. I'm not very sure if the build is capable. Let me just actually take a look here. No, people have actually cleared higher than 100, right? You can do 100, but obviously, again, as I said, it's about, you know, D tier or so, because, you know, people are clearing 130s or so. So this is enjoyable and leveling, and as I said, nostalgic, but by no means great. For mercenaries, I use Subo and Altkin. As you can see, you know, Subo gives us, you know, the crit damage thingy, and Altkin can help us mitigate some damage by doing the 20% damage reduction thingy. Yeah, Field of Languish. And what else do we have? We have Zealot as the Oath, as you can probably guess. The Divine Gifts We have this one, you know, this is beautiful. Legendary rune is always very good. Translates to a lot of gold. Experience globes. This should be in your divine slot when you're leveling, right? And I don't think you should use a corrupted gift here. This one, yeah, 20% armor. And from our legendary note, the armor translates to damage, so it's more survivability and damage both. So this is a no-brainer, right? This one I would suggest going with this one in the divine gift slot, right? 30% movement speed, because you know you will be lacking a lot of movement speed. This will help, but in the end game, definitely suggest switch to, you know, the 20% increased distance for more survivability. And as I said, you know, the corrupted ones can be a little bit painful when leveling, so maybe leave them out. But this is, you know, undercity only, so anyway, maybe you could. And yeah, as long as you are leveling glyphs, this should be in your divine gift slot. And when you're done with leveling, I guess you can switch to this. And at max rank, if you are curious, this gives at about, you know, 18 million gold. So, you know, if you use it in the purified slot, it's gonna give you 36 million gold, which is not nothing. Also, which is not a huge deal, but yeah. So that's about it, guys. This is, as I said, when done right, probably a D tier. Mine is probably close to F tier, right? It's pretty bad. So, but as I said, it's fun leveling, and yeah, feel free to leave comments or suggestions or ideas, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.